changes spanning generations, or a shift in the wind, a body dormant underground. His world is right.
Welcome to Onward Live, a live stream focused on encouraging you to create a life you love living now. Let's go beyond success to significance. Being clear on our why is crucial. It requires doing the inner work, finding ourselves, getting to know ourselves, embracing our inner child, shedding social conditioning, and letting go of perfect. We know obstacles make us stronger. We can dream big and take action. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. I invite you to tune in every week and engage with me and my inspiring guests. Invite your friends. Let's make time for what matters most in our lives. Let's move onward together. Restream just gave me a notice that one of my streams is having trouble connecting. I don't know which one it is, but if you're here watching, I can see that a few people are watching. Welcome, and let us know in the chat. James Patrone. Hey, he says, "What's up, good people?" Thank you for joining us, James. I appreciate it. You're a regular here. So it's, you can tell the time's changing. It's already dark outside, getting to be fall. I'm praying, I'm sure everyone is, for all the people that are in Florida, going through the hurricane right now. Lots of stress on their minds, I'm sure. And I have a lot of friends down there and relatives too. So I hope everybody's okay. I'm excited to bring in my guest. Hi, Alice. Thanks for joining. I'm excited to bring in my guest today, Pam Reyes, and we're going to even probably talk about a little bit about how we met, because we actually meet now like every other Monday and, hold each other accountable for getting stuff done, which is sometimes when you work alone or work by yourself as a coach, you're running your own business at home alone. It's kind of, you're like, well, who do I talk to? Who's on my team? Who can I work with? And Pam and I do that a lot. So let me bring Pam in. Hi, Pam.
Hey, Emily, how are you?
I'm awesome. So you are the founder of Living Out Loud Coaching and Consulting, and you're a high performance mental fitness coach. And you're a natural at engaging audiences, which is why, and I know that, and that's why I'm excited to have you here. You lead workshops, you present as a keynote speaker, you help companies cultivate engagement-based management at internal seminars, and you've got over 20 years of experience in leadership roles in corporate America. And so you are an expert at helping people see what they do best and then helping them create a vision for their personal and professional life or their team and their business so they can take it to the next level. And to me, that's all about like creating a life you love living, which is the topic of this show. It's like, figuring out what you do best and do that, and then delegate the other stuff to other people. And it makes life more an ease and flow, right?
For sure. It's so interesting because we always have this no pain, no gain, right? Come on, Emily, you came from being in the service, and that what ends up happening is like, oh, come on, no pain, no gain. And that is bogus. That is a lie and a self-fulfilling prophecy that we can actually get so caught up in. Yeah. And one of the things that I love about when I was in corporate America, of course, I was bought right into that, and I was proving, pleasing, and performing my way to success in a multitude of organizations and in global roles. And it was stressful. It was hard until one of my HR business partners had helped us to build a bench strength in, the leadership in Latin America. And we took what was called, and this was like, okay, I'm dating myself, probably 18 years ago, Gallup Strength Finders. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, we take these things. It's like, let's focus on what we're really good at.
Yeah.
Because, when performance review comes around, what do they focus on? Your weaknesses, what you're not good at. So this was the first time that I was introduced to these strengths of what we do really well. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a no-brainer. Why aren't we doing this? Yeah. why do we focus on what we're not good at? Because you and I both know what happens when we focus on something that we're not good at. We get that, we're gritting it out and strife and strive, and then it has such an adverse effect on our self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth.
Yeah. I mean, my dad was a good dad, don't get me wrong, but it kind of started that way when I was playing basketball. I was the leading scorer in Maryland, DC, and Virginia in high school, and I could have scored 40 points in a game. He'd be like, good game. Now, you remember that time you went right, you could have gone left. And so I learned from a young age to please, to be a hyperachiever, to always be striving to do better, 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 to always be pushing myself, and to focus on where, to take for granted what I did well and focus on where I could improve.
Yeah. Yeah. And you and I both know, because we work on mental fitness, is our brain amplifies negative thoughts 3 times for every one positive. No wonder why. And my youngest son's in football too. So one of the things, a parent, I'm always looking now for, what is he doing well? Let's catch people doing good things, doing the right things. Because guess what? What gets rewarded actually gets repeated. So imagine when we're focusing on the negative, it just is constant negative self-talk that we end up having. And it was one of the sad truths is, not too long ago, my youngest son mentioned, he's just like, I just feel like I'm never enough. Now he's 15. And so now I'm getting curious. So I'm leaning in. I'm like, tell me more.
Right.
Right. We learned all of this. Tell me more. And he just says, between grades and football, I'm never doing enough because you're always harping on this, that, and the other thing. And I just went, oh my gosh, what we focus on, whether it's in work and leadership, and whether we're leading our children in our, in sports, we have to mind our words. And
Right.
it's been profoundly made a big difference. So fast forward, the week after, he suits up for varsity. Now he's 15. He got suited up for varsity. He got in for one play. But one of the things that I noticed, and I told his dad, I said, look, he's not in the play, but every time out, he's hustling to get the water. We need to acknowledge him for that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That one shift, Emily, was profound because it pumped him up. He was just like, because he was bracing himself, because we can see that people brace themselves for the negative, you're going to harp on what I'm not good at, and what a difference it made in him. And
That's
it was
awesome.
so beautiful to see the light in his eyes on that one.
Because that's being a team player too. I mean, somebody needs to bring the water. Everyone needs to help out. And that's awesome. He's learning some good team skills, and he's, you're helping him focus on what he's good at and, what he did well then. Right.
Yeah.
And at 15, that's a pretty big deal to be suiting up for varsity.
Yeah, it is. And boy, can our kids be our biggest teachers.
Yeah. If we're listening. Right.
Ooh, very good. Yes.
And I like what you said, tell me more, instead of, oh, come on, you're good enough. I mean, look at all the good things about you. You delved deeper into what he was thinking.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be like, of course you're going to say that. You're my mom.
Yeah. And it's so quick. We're, and I'm going to speak for myself. I used to be very verbally quick to dismiss things, to filibuster, I guess, if you will. And I've had to learn, because understanding what I have a hyperachiever, controller, and stickler saboteurs, which, the controller one drives the bus when I'm in a tense situation and I see how it comes out. And it's not a pretty picture. So I've had to learn to recognize it, because we can't change something we're not aware of.
Right.
As we delved into learning a lot more about our saboteurs and what we think about, we actually bring about and live into, is so impactful. And so now I slow down so I can move faster in the right direction, so I can understand, okay, what's going on here? Let me lean in and understand, and not be dismissive of his feelings, right?
Yeah, right. Not be dismissive of them because he's really feeling that. So understand why. Well, so 18 years ago, you took the Strengths Finder, and what did it tell you? You told you some of your strengths, and
Yeah.
were you working in an area where you were using your strengths?
Well, at the time, no, because I was doing things to prove. So I was in a strategic role, which I loved, and because I was chasing the title and the money. So what I
Mm-hmm.
recognized was I took it because I did, for the title and the money, and I was responsible for rolling out a strategic alliance. Like, okay, we worked with Accenture, they have a service, we have a product, I was in high tech, putting them together and going out with a new service offering or a new offering. Well, what I didn't realize is the most of my day job would be project management, spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Oh, totally different from who I am. Because what happens is, and this is one of the things that I share with my organizations and teams, is just because you can do something doesn't mean you should be. Because
Yeah.
I could do it, and my hyperachiever was like, I'm going to do it really well. By the end of the day, Emily, it sucked the life out of me. I walked in the door and I was a raving maniac to my family because I
Mm-hmm.
was trained. I was tired of pretending that I was doing really
Right.
great. And
That you
people
were
were
on
like,
top of it.
"Oh, Pam, you're such a process queen. It was awesome." I was like, "Oh no, that is so not me." I have strategic, maximizer, communication. I mean, these other talents, which are like outwardly focused. I have big picture thinking and I get things done through other people,
Mm-hmm.
influencing. And I was stuck actually doing the spreadsheets on a day-to-day basis. I could do it, but it sucked the life out of me.
You
And
know,
this
you
is,
and I haven't had this conversation before because it's so similar to my life. You know, I was a contracting officer, right? How cool is it to negotiate contracts for
yeah,
airplanes for the Navy and the Marine Corps? But the attention to detail and the spreadsheets, it stressed me out. By the end of the day, I was completely worn out.
yeah,
And I didn't take that Strengths Finder. I didn't really realize it. I switched to another job that used more of that public speaking, outgoing,
yes,
visionary, and I wasn't as stressed. So
yeah.
it's so important to know ourselves and to know what we like and to focus on that. That's really a big part of creating a life you love living.
For sure. And here's a little thing I'll mention though is because our strengths is the way we naturally think, feel, and behave. So here's the thing: the more talented we are in an area, the more we take it for granted, and we think it's
Mm-hmm.
no big deal. Like for example, you are probably awesome with public speaking. I know that you can engage people, right? And people probably compliment you all the time. Emily, my gosh, you're great at speaking to people. You're a natural. And what's our first tendency is like, oh, oh, that's no big deal.
Right.
Hello, if we are not valuing, how can we expect anyone else to value us if we don't know our own value?
Mm.
And this is one of the really great benefits of unleashing our greatest potential is some of these assessments. So what happens is that when we take these assessments, it's almost like, oh my gosh, they're reading my mail. You hated
Yeah.
being a
Yeah, Alice.
yeah.
I
Because
did it
we
too.
look at this and we go, you're reading my mail. This is how I now describe me. Because how do we know how to describe ourselves if it's the way we naturally think, feel, and behave? And the fact is that our personal power, because we've all had titles, right? That's positional power.
Mm-hmm.
But our personal power lies at the source of who we are. This is where self-awareness comes into play. The
Yeah.
source of who we are. And when that happens, success is guaranteed. So now we're able to go, oh, you know what? Thanks. Hey, I really appreciate you tapping me for this strategic alliance project management role. But my strengths are greater used over here. I'm really
Yes.
honored, but I'm better used over here. So that way we can let go of what we're not good at.
Yeah.
Really step into our personal power, which absolutely gives us confidence with ease and flow. that we can start influencing and impact, making a greater impact with ease and flow, not all that stress. And like Alice is saying, she hated the contractor. It is stressful because when when we're doing things that we are not really talented at,
Yeah.
let it go. There's freedom
Yeah.
in letting it go.
There sure is. And, I struggled with that a little bit when I was starting my own business as a coach. I was not doing a very good job at keeping track of all my records. I was charging, I had different credit cards and, I wasn't I told myself that I would, keep track of all my books in a spreadsheet. And then by the end of the year, when it's tax time, I hadn't done it for the whole year. So finally I invested in a bookkeeper. Oh my gosh, she saved my life. And, that's what she's really good at. And it took so much pressure off of me.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is my virtual assistant, Almas, I'm getting ready to leave her a LinkedIn review because she's just awesome. And the way I found her is I was thinking about getting a virtual assistant to take some of the admin stuff, and she messaged me on LinkedIn. Now, I usually don't like getting messages on LinkedIn that say, hey, Emily, do you need this? Or can I sell you that or whatever? But the way she messaged me, it was just the perfect timing. And it said, hey, Emily, I want your job. Well, at least the pieces of it that you don't like doing.
Brilliant.
I hired her the next day.
Brilliant.
We got on the phone and I hired her the next day. And she and her team have been working with me for about almost 2 years now.
Oh, so cool. That's what I go when I work with leaders. I call it free the wizard.
Yeah.
Because when you get to do what you do best every day, operating in our strengths, 60 to 70% of our time those are high energy activities. Mm-hmm. Gives us energy, gives us joy. That's why we have ease and flow. And I work with leaders about that and they go, how can I do that? I have so much to do. And I said, now it's time to direct and delegate. Because there are some things that you're doing that other people can do. But then here's the thing that they do. I feel guilty. Oh, I said, no. Delegation is not a dump and run. What you're doing as a leader is now you're saying, here's my sweet spot. This is what I do best. These are some activities that need to get done, but I'm not the best person. Here's how you go and approach your team members. I have an opportunity I'd like for you to consider.
Yeah, give them something they do best.
Right? Exactly. Consider the fact that if it drains you, delegate it and give an opportunity to somebody that it energizes. And then all of a sudden, that never even occurred to them. They're just like, really? That shift in perspective makes all the difference in the world because then they start going, okay, now you're raising up leaders. You're giving them things to energize them.
Yeah.
That's how you create high performance teams.
Yeah. So keep a list of, maybe somebody could make a spreadsheet for the week and just keep a list of the tasks that you're doing and what makes you go, yes, I get to do this. And what makes you go, oh, I've got to do this today. What are your thoughts around those tasks? And then which ones can you delegate? Or how do you change your attitude, your thoughts about the task to make it fun? That's what we learn in positive intelligence, right?
It is.
That's why we both love it.
And I love when Shazad says, I got to pay those bills. Just like you were talking about, I was like, oh yeah, that's my least favorite thing to do. But when you start saying from a tactical perspective, it's like, okay, for one, I've also heard too, is when you write those checks and go, oh, well, who writes checks anymore? When you pay those bills, have a thought of gratitude. For example, for your bookkeeper, I'm grateful that I get to have my bookkeeper help me. I'm grateful that I'm able to hire them, that it furthers their life and it enriches them. I mean, really having a different perspective on those tasks that sometimes like we have to do those things, right?
Yeah. Sometimes we have to. I'm getting ready to delegate cleaning my condo because I just dread it. I hate doing it. And somebody might think, or I might think, Emily, you're retired. You have time to clean your condo. Well, I just hate it. I just can't stand thinking about doing it. And there are people who really love to clean and dust and organize things. And it's just not me. So I don't know.
So let me ask you a question. When you made that decision to get somebody to do that, how'd that feel to you?
It felt great. She came over yesterday, and hopefully she's going to start this weekend. I think it felt
'Cause it's
good, and
interesting.
I knew I was helping her out. It's a new business in town, and you know, we hit it off when she came over. So
That's awesome because I was just talking to my older son or actually this guy that I was coaching last night. Gosh, that's right. I work with Navy SEALs and Special Forces, and so I was meeting my fellow last night, and I always start with, "Give me a word that describes how you're feeling," and he said, "I'm tired." So I said, "Okay, you're tired. Words have energy." So then I asked him, "What are some decisions that you need to make?" It's our maybes. It's our maybes
yeah,
that make us tired
yeah,
because we have decisions that we need to make. What are the decisions that we're either avoiding, right? Or we're dreading to make? And it sounded like you labored a little bit about, oh, do I want to have that? How long did you go back and forth about that, cleaning the condo?
yeah. Probably a few months until I decided to do it. So
And you know what
yeah,
happens?
yeah,
It's an energy leak because every time you walk by and you're like, it weighs heavy on our mind and our shoulders. It stresses us. Sometimes it's these little things that weigh heavy that inhibit us from making bigger decisions, more important decisions.
yeah. I love how
And
you
then
start
when
your
you
coaching
may,
sessions out about like, what are you feeling? One word. Because
it's a
we
telltale.
can stop and ask ourselves that throughout the day.
Yes.
Like, what am I
Mhm.
feeling right now?
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you made that decision, how much energy and freedom
Yeah.
did it give you?
Yeah. And when I come home to a clean condo, how much energy is that going to give me?
I love that smell. I love that smell,
Yeah.
especially if I'm not doing it myself.
Yeah. I mean, I used to get my place clean when I had kids, not their rooms. I would make them clean their rooms and stuff, but, for the other part of the house. But yeah. So for those of you who are watching, what decisions are you putting off, or what is sucking your energy at work? So how do you coach somebody who might be Pam, who might be in a place where they're not really playing to their strengths, or they're not even sure what they are?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I do strength finders with my clients, and I work with them. I want to know their story because everybody does have a story. What have they gone through in life that has made them who they are today? So we usually go back and talk to them about, like, give me a little bit of Reader's Digest version of your life, and then we thread through how those strengths have always shown up. And it's interesting because here's the thing: is they go, "Whoa, I never knew that, and I thought that was a weakness." Okay, every
Oh,
strength, just like the saboteurs, it maps so well with saboteurs because those, for example, there's an achiever as a top strength. Those that get things done, they actually, get to the finish line. They love to set the pace for work. But what happens if we're hyperachieving or overachieving? It can hinder us and turn into a saboteur. And now we're
yeah,
chasing things. So when I work with clients about that, it's really shining the spotlight on what their greatest strengths are. And so many of them just go, it's given them permission. It's really mining for gold because they don't, like I said, if it's something the way we naturally think, feel, and behave, we take it for granted. We don't even
yeah,
know. So we think just because we can do it and it's easy, society will have us believe that if it's easy, it's not valuable. That's so wrong. So wrong. And all of a sudden, their shoulders just sort of, start to relax and they just sink into that. Wow. Okay. I can have permission to be who I am. Many of
yeah,
them, like myself, proving and pleasing in corporate, I didn't know who I was anymore. I was being all things to all people. This
yeah,
actually gives them permission to be themselves and to see how valuable they are as who they are. And that's a hard one to wrap their head around. We've had this conversation. It's not in the doing, it's in the being. Oh, I had
yeah.
this conversation last night with my former SEAL, and he's just like, "What the hell are you talking about? What do you mean? Well, just tell me what to do." It's not doing, it's being. I don't know how to be. And I was like, neither did I.
Yeah, neither did I. I mean, like, so when I'm getting ready to retire from working for the Navy, I'm thinking, I knew I wanted to be a coach. I'm like, what's my niche? You know, what would I coach people on? Oh, I know. I want to coach people on how they can get more done in the day because I'm really good at getting like multitasking and getting a lot of stuff done. That's how I'm going to coach them.
Oh,
And I've
yeah.
changed so much. If you guys have been watching this show for like 3 years, you've seen how I've changed. It's like now I focus on who I'm being, not how much I'm getting done, like who I'm being while I'm getting done. And because when you're focused on achieve, relationships suffer, your health suffers, everything suffers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Emily, what was the turning point for you? How did you understand? How did you transition? And it's a total transformation. Those of you listening, it's not an easy switch. It's actual transformation. How did you shift from the doing to the being? What was it for you?
It was gradual. First, and you can tell me the same. You know, you can answer the same question for me when I'm done answering. But first, it was thinking that once I retired, I was finally going to be more in control of my life because my job was making me busy, my boss was making me busy, and I wanted to slow down. So I knew that that was going to happen immediately when I retired. And when I retired, I was busier than ever. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a boss. I had to look at myself. Like, why am I so busy? Why can't I slow down? Why can't I get to the dishes in the sink clean because I feel like I'm too busy? I mean, why am I sitting at my desk when I could be out hiking? And so then I started to just work with many different coaches, and a lot of them had recurring themes about how it's not the external, it's what we think about the external. It's our thoughts create our about something, create our feelings, which create our actions, or our inactions, which create our results. And I wanted different results. I had no idea how to do it. So it was just it took probably 2 years. And last year I did an interview with one of my coaches that really helped me through it, Sandy Rakowitz. And we talked about that process and how working with her, how I was at the very beginning, just all over the place. Because one of my saboteurs, in addition to hyperachiever and pleaser, is restless. I'm always like creating new work for myself, and that's a way to avoid your feelings.
Yeah.
And so it was a combination of a lot of that. I could not have done it without coaches. And I still am working on it. But I tell you, I support the company Positive Intelligence part-time. And I'm very good now at not letting my hyperachiever turn that part-time into overtime, full-time, all the time. You know that. We talk, you and I meet every other Monday and we talk about that. So I have come a long way, and but it took a lot of inner work on myself. So what about you? When was that like moment that you realized?
Okay, when I left corporate America, I had an identity crisis because my value and worth was tied to the title and the money I made. And it was my choice to leave. I had a separation package. It was a great package. Felt like Monty Hall. I'll take the curtain, the package, the door. And so I took the package and I thought, yes, I get to do what I want to do. And then I was like, oh crap.
What do
I don't have to report to anybody. I was spinning around, totally spinning. And my value and worth was tied, because I have hyperachiever saboteur as well, is in the doing.
Yeah.
And this is one of the most profound things that I work with clients on is it's not, your value doesn't come from in the doing. This is where society has us believe the more we do, the more valuable we are. No. So I will tell you, I was a hot mess.
Me too.
Because I needed, I also have restless, and I kept myself so busy that I was running away from doing introspection. And so now this
That's
is one of
hard.
the work that I do with my clients. And I said, I help you to navigate the minefield of introspection. I didn't want to know, I was afraid of what I might find. And I worked with coaches that called me on my crap, like seriously. And they kept saying it's not in the do, and I couldn't separate my value from my doing. And this is why I go like this, because that's what we need to do is our value and our worth comes from who we are. And we are whole and complete and beautifully and wonderfully designed and made to not be like other people. Because what do we want to do when we're in the servers or in corporate? We want to fit in. So we shrink ourselves to fit. I was like, shrink to fit is great for jeans, but not for people. You can't, like, you want to stand out.
Yeah.
Uniquely. Yeah. So for me, I went back and forth with them and back and forth. And I was just like, tell me what to do. And they said, it's not in the doing. And they said, it's who you're being. And I was like I said, I was a raving maniac. I just don't get it. I was so frustrated that I didn't get it. And they said, your way of being is, are you loving? Are you caring? Are you curious? Are you empathetic? Are you intentional? Are you confident? And I literally, words, we talk about this, words make all the difference in the world. So when we can understand a way of being comes from inside, how can I be confident? How can I be courageous? How can I be bold? What does that look like? Because it comes from a very different place than that strife and stride and proving and performing and really being exhaustive.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. We have a couple of questions here. So yeah. Denise from Houston, thank you for joining, and better late than never. So I'm glad that you're here. And Alice says, because we'd asked, is anyone having trouble with making a decision? She says, I can't make a decision about anything. I can't decide on when to retire. I can't even decide on a contractor to do work on my condo. As a result, I do nothing, which is so frustrating. Yeah, we get it. We get it.
So Alice, what would you say? It sounds like overwhelmed to me, because there's a difference. Stress is not bad, right? It's good to have some tension and stress, right? There's a bit of a tension. It's overwhelm where we literally feel like we're underwater and it paralyzes us. So it sounds like, Alice, you're going like, I have so much to do that I can't do one thing. What I share is stop, because our head is, we cannot outthink ourselves. We cannot outthink stress and overwhelm. Stop and breathe.
Yes. That's what you learn in mental fitness. Pam and I are both mental fitness coaches through the company Positive Intelligence. And, it's very helpful to me. I don't know if you agree, Pam, to know what somebody's saboteurs are, to have them take the saboteur assessment, because then that explains everything. It explains a lot, and you have like a common language to work on with your clients. And so, Alice, it'd be interesting if you would take that saboteur assessment. Let's see if maybe while Pam's talking,
because
I might be able to
here's
copy
the thing too, is that to share with you and take that thread a little bit further is, when we're in our brains, like we're in survival mode, it sounds like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm riding the rail of indecision, which means that I can't make any decision and I'm paralyzed, right? Because we're thinking about either the past or we're worried about the future, making the right decision, right? Which makes us indecisive. So this is where we invite you. Gosh, this would be a great opportunity, Emily, to do a PQ rep.
Okay. Well, we can, and I'll put it, let's see. I'm looking to see, let me see. I'm going to add this website. Yeah. Do you want to lead it, or I have my phone? Okay. Hold on. Okay. Let me, I'm putting this saboteur assessment in here, so I'll post it so you can see it. I would highly recommend going there, learning about the saboteurs, finding out what your saboteurs are, because it helps you then understand the lies that it's telling you, that they're telling you. And then, which is basically understanding the thoughts that you're having that are causing you all the stress, anxiety, overwhelm. Whenever you feel that, stop. Like Pam said, take a breath. You are being hijacked by your saboteurs, and you are not going to, it's going to be very challenging for you to think of a way out of the situation, because you're basically in your left brain, which is where all the saboteurs are. You need to create new neural pathways to the right side of your brain, which is where empathy, curiosity, compassion, calm, cool-headed thinking is. And so Pam's going to demonstrate how to do a PQ rep, which doesn't take long. You do them throughout the day, and it helps you be more in command of your mind and create new neural pathways so that you can recognize. The first step is to recognize, I am stressed, I'm anxious, I'm overwhelmed. Oh yeah, that means that I'm in my saboteur mode and I'm believing everything my mind is telling me. How do I want to switch and get curious about what else could be true, right?
Yeah, we're hijacked for sure. And we're in survivor brain. We cannot make good decisions there. Mm-mm. So I'm going to invite you, and I'm going to do the same thing, to close your eyes. And I want you to take a big breath in through your nose and command your mind to focus on the rise and fall of your chest or stomach. Take another big, deep breath. Feel the cool air going into your nose. And as you exhale, feel warm air going out. Do one more deep breath and feel the rise and fall. Focus your attention on the rise and fall of your chest or stomach. And then exhale again. The key with these PQ reps is to command your brain to be in a physical, to focus on a physical sensation. I'm going to share another one with you, which is one of my favorites, is to put two fingers together. I usually like my index finger and my thumb, and focus on feeling, rubbing it with enough tension that you're feeling your fingerprint. This is another strategy. We call it a PQ rep. And again, focus and command your mind to focus on that physical sensation. So here's the key to those. And speaking specifically to Alice, who had the courage to share what you're really going through, is when we can get in our physical, in present state, there is no fear, stress, anxiety, frustration, anger, guilt, shame. None of that exists when we're in the present moment. And only then can we have clear, laser-focused, peace, calm, creative thoughts. And we can make clear decisions there.
So when you're doing that and you're focusing on your finger or on your breath, your mind will wander like, this is stupid. I don't have time for this, whatever. You are not your mind. Mm-hmm. You're strengthening that self-command muscle to command your mind. I am telling you to focus on the fingertips. And by doing that, you're creating new neural pathways, and it gets you out of that stress and more into the sage, the right side of your brain, where you can then say, okay, what's really important now? Or, what's another way of looking at this situation? And it's kind of like meditation. It is meditation. We do it throughout the day. So we've got a question here from Forrest saying, this conversation echoes mindful meditation. Was that part of your journey? Being a human doing, you're right, is not as fun as being a human being. So right, Forrest.
Yeah, I'll be the first to share. Here's my hyperachiever and how bad it was, right? Mindful meditation. I was like, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. And I'm calling up a friend of mine, a coach friend, and I was like, I think I'm doing this wrong. I think it was Martha Beck was teaching, this mindful meditation or something. And I got hijacked. So one of the things, so Forrest and the rest of you, the beauty of positive intelligence, or what we call the PQ rep, is it takes, first and foremost, 10 seconds to grab that thought and bring it into the present. And these are 2-minute increments throughout the day. And for somebody who runs fast and furious, 2 minutes for me felt like an eternity, because this mindful meditation where they're talking about 20 minutes, 30 minutes I kept saying, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. Again, that's a lie.
Right.
In 2 minutes, and like Emily said, your mind is going to wander, and that's okay. It's noticing it and bringing it back, noticing it with blameless discernment. So those 2-minute practices throughout the day are less than 3% of the time. But what the other thing is that it will energize you.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, that the lie that everybody thinks, right? I don't have time. I don't have time. We all only have 24 hours in our day. It's not a matter of time management. It's managing your energy. This is where the power of your personal power, when you're operating your strengths, when you're in sage with the PQ, being able to get mindful in your present moment, that's managing your energy. It's going to energize you, and that's when you experience ease and flow. It is so counterintuitive to society that's why it is difficult. But once you wrap your head around it and say, and one of the things that I used to say is, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to do this to prove you wrong. And boy, did I learn that this was the right thing to do. So.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I had a coach that said, Emily, if you could start off with meditation every day, start your morning, could you do that? And my hyperachiever is like, yeah, I can do that. And the questionnaire was, how many minutes a day do you have time to meditate? Now, it started with 15, 30, 45, an hour. And I'm like, an hour? I'm retired. I've got an hour. Then I thought, yeah, but I'm probably not going to do it in an hour. All right. So I'll put 15 minutes. That'll be easy for me to achieve. And then she wanted me to do it for 40 days straight. And every week or every other week, she'd say, what day are you on? I'd say 1. You don't understand. I have a lot to do. I am really busy. I've got to get up and just start my day. I don't have time to start my day with this meditation. And I finally did it. And I do find doing these PQ reps, I mean, sometimes a 2-minute PQ rep is like, enables you to handle 2 pounds of stress if you look at it as like weights, because this is like mental fitness, right? So sometimes I will start my day off with a longer one, a 15-pound one, charge up my battery, give me some energy to start the day with. But I didn't have the words for it because I hadn't encountered positive intelligence yet, but it was my restless is like, you don't have time to sit here. You've got stuff to do. What about all these other opportunities you're missing out on?
Yeah.
And that's the reason I couldn't even get the dishes done, because you've got all these other opportunities that you could do. You've got to do this and that, and you've got to eat and then put the dish in the sink and then go do this. It was just, I was a mess.
Oh yeah. We all buy into that lie for sure. But one of the things I want to address though, because the meditation and sitting there and going, forget it, restless too. Meditation looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
For me, I walk and talk. I do beach walks with clients, being out in nature. So I think that meditation looks different and is a different flavor for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the traditional meditation, people go, oh, yeah, I don't have time. I don't have a meditation room or whatever. It's different for people. Like if you're on your cycle and you're in the zone, it's like, again, managing your energy. And if you can do that, I also do a 15-minute rep or 12-minute rep or whatever to charge my battery in the morning. If I know I have a pretty busy day, if you will, or a full day. But what happens is that when we fill ourselves up with self-care, meditation, whatever that looks like for us, we can bring that energy into the rest of our day in such a way that we are extremely productive in a very short period of time.
Yeah. You don't have to multitask and do all this stuff to accomplish. You can accomplish an ease and flow. I would have never believed it.
I know, me neither. Forget it. How can you do that? It has to be hard, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I think that the work that both of us do is we are absolutely on a mission to help others, and for me in particular, high achieving leaders, women leaders, to break the lie and find a rhythm of life that works for them in a way of ease and flow, because it absolutely exists. And it starts here with reprogramming our operating system, because society, we're being bombarded by all kinds of things all the time. It's to quiet ourselves and really, really reprogram our operating system
Yeah.
on a daily
Well,
basis.
and you probably, hi, Russ. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. I hope we can set up a networking call soon. I haven't talked to you with you in a while. You probably ran into this too, Pam, when you were starting your own coaching business. There's so many people out there telling you how to do it. You do this and you do that, and you got to do it this way and you got to do it that way. And at first I was like overwhelmed. And what you really need to do, the best way to go about it is to figure out what works for you. Because what works for you as a coach may not work for me, and what works for somebody else may not work for you. And, what puts you in ease and flow? How do you want to be a coach? How can you show up being yourself as a coach and not trying to emulate somebody else?
That's beautiful, because that is one of the things with strengths. We understand the way we naturally think, feel, and behave, and then align what we do with who we are. And what I mean by that is going, okay, now we have language, just like with positive intelligence. Now we have language to say, hey, the value that I bring is this. And it all is based on your strengths. We now know how to articulate that. Not only to say the value I bring is X, is we also know how to say what I need to be at my best. Because based on our strengths, what I need to be at my best, I'll tell you, I need to be out with other people, not like locked down in COVID, for heaven's sake. And that's what brought me to positive intelligence to begin with. I have that connection, ability to win others over, that communication. I come alive when I'm around other people. When we were locked down, I swear to goodness, I was like a plant with no water shriveling up. So to your
I was
point,
in heaven.
you are, see, you get your energy. This is it too. It's like, we have to understand where we get our energy. If you refuel being by yourself, reading, doing whatever it is, for me, I can have a very full day with clients. I can take like an hour to kind of breathe and get that off. I need to go reconnect with other people to get re-energized. So if we don't know that, then we can be out there doing what works for other people that won't work for us. And then that comes strife versus ease and flow.
Yeah. Oh, and that's kind of how we came together. I think I don't know, did we meet each other on a positive intelligence call or something, a coaching call somehow? But now you and I meet about every other Monday, and we just, kind of help hold each other accountable with what we're focusing on and how we're being as well. And, what's working for us, what's not. And it just really helps, I think.
Yeah. And challenging each other in a way that, because not everyone's a fit. We can, I've met a bazillion of other people, but there was something about that connection. I'm like, we need to connect further because of, and I like this because I realized what I needed. I need a sparring partner. In order for me to be at my best, it's a sparring partner. I didn't have that language. I went, because it's me, I went to another coach after COVID. I was just like, something is going on here. And like, I can't get myself out of this funk. She's like, you need a sparring partner. Because I just said, I need a me for me. And so that's one of the things that I think I found in you, Emily, as a sparring partner.
Yeah, we've helped each other out a lot. I enjoy that. So tell us a little bit as we're going to be wrapping it up in a minute. And so if you're watching, thank you for watching tonight. And if you have a question for Pam, please post it and we'll make sure she answers it before we end. But I'm just wondering a little bit, can you tell us about, your ideal client? And I'm going to put up here your website.
Yes, I work with high achieving leaders to help them discover the value of who they are, so they can actually lead from their personal power with confidence, impact, and influence. And ease and flow, for sure. So a lot of the folks, because I spent 20 years in technology and in high tech, it's fast and furious. And we get caught up in a lot of that performance perspective and lose sight of actually who we are. So working with those leaders who feel frustrated, constant, like relentless negative self-talk, feeling not enough, like I'm not doing enough. I can always be doing more. It's really working to be mindful of, let's slow down, be self-aware so we can move faster in the right direction. And then
Yeah.
being able to build those high performance teams. A lot of the times, it's interesting because it's the leader that sets the tone for the organization. And if we're operating out of our strengths, it can create and does create a toxic environment for our team inadvertently.
Yeah. If
So
we're
if they're
not
walking on
operating in our
eggshells,
strengths.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think as leaders, I wish that I had learned more to pay more attention to how I was being, who I was being while I was achieving and leading the team to achieve. Knowing what I know now, I would have done some things differently in the way I was a leader. But, we all learn at the right time, apparently. And
yeah.
so,
So that's what I always say is leadership starts with who you are, not what you
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And
And so you're offering a complimentary strategy session, right?
yes.
That people can sign up and how would that look?
So
What would it
a
be
complimentary strategy session, what we'll do is go through, first start with, how are you feeling today?
like?
And
So know
then
that.
we go from there to help unpack exactly what's standing in your way and holding you back, and be able to give you, help you to identify what's holding you back, and then what are the best next steps in order to help you to move forward.
Yeah, it sounds like that'd be good for Alice. And because she posted, you could help her with some of her decisions she's got to make on retirement and hiring a contractor to work on her condo and how to work through that. Alice, I hope you take the saboteur assessment. That'll be, I think that will really help you better understand what are the thoughts that are holding you back about these situations, and they're keeping you feeling stuck. That's not a fun feeling, but know that you can get out of it.
Yeah, because we're not our thoughts and feelings. They can come and go in 60 seconds. We don't have to make them our story. But if we don't understand that, and this is part of the strategy session, we're going to be able to break through and go, okay, or break free of that and intercept that quickly. And then you get to see, wow, I've been holding myself hostage and not realizing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Pam, as we wrap it up, I really appreciate you being on the show. And what's a thought that you want to leave the listeners with? Do you have anything else that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I'm honored to be able to share and just have this conversation with you. The thought that I really want you all to know is really leadership starts with who you are. And if you don't know the value of who you are, don't expect anyone else to. That's a hard truth.
Yeah. That's a good one. Thank you, Pam. Thanks for being on the Onward podcast. I really appreciate it. There's only a few more left. I get kind of sentimental when I think about it, but I'm taking a break, and I don't know if it's a permanent break or not, but I want to spend more time out in nature, hiking, things like that. And I've got some other plans too that we can talk about at our next Monday session.
Yeah. And what's that just came up for me, and I want to share this with you now. If you want to be out in nature, what my thought is that the podcast can go with you.
That's true.
It doesn't have to be the studio.
That's true.
I'm just saying.
You're right. I did. Yeah, it could. I did go out once and into nature, and I interviewed some tree sitters, which basically for over 700 days in Southern Virginia, we had these people sitting in trees. They were protecting the trees from being cut down for a pipeline. Wow. So they had platforms in the trees. People would send them food up. I mean, they came down and switched places, but you never knew when they would. And so I interviewed them about why they were sitting in trees for so long. And this is when my topic was more on facing adversity, moving forward, discovering yourselves along the way. I really wanted to understand that. So yeah, I remember sitting outside in the woods, looking at those trees and interviewing. They didn't tell me their correct name, but it was, or their real name, because I don't think their real name was Dusty Pine Sap, but that's who I interviewed. So good, Alice. Alice says that she's going to take the saboteur assessment.
Awesome.
I'm glad it'll really help you understand yourself even more. I love it. And then perhaps read Shahzad's book, Positive Intelligence.
Yeah.
Got it right here.
Oh, there you go.
Right
Awesome.
there.
Yeah.
And then Heather. Hi, Heather. I thought it's past your bedtime right now. Heather listened. I know that she gets up really early. So thanks for listening, Heather, and
thanks for
watching.
joining.
Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to put you in the green room and we'll wrap this up.
Thanks all. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching. I really, I don't know if you noticed, may not, may have. I really haven't been on LinkedIn much, and I haven't been on Facebook that much either. The past few weekends, I've been out hiking, camping. This past weekend, I went on an event where we really learned about, wilderness survival, which was awesome. We learned, I learned a lot more about what I should be carrying in my backpack when I go camping by myself and when I go hiking by myself. We learned how to make, I already knew, but how to make the water that's coming out of the streams, how you can drink it, how to, make a fire without matches. We also learned self-defense. It was such an awesome event, and I did that through this group called Explorer Chicks. So it was all women, and it was really great. We did a lot of hard hikes too, so that was a lot of fun. And so I hope that you're creating a life that you love living. I hope you're doing more and more of what you love throughout the day, because it just makes life so much more enjoyable. Thank you for watching, and we've got a few more shows. November 2nd is the last show, and I hope you can join me then. And until then, I'll see you next Wednesday. And I'm going to play my close. Onward Live is sponsored by Emily Harmon Coaching and Consulting. Visit my website, emilyharmon.com, to learn more about me and my coaching programs. I'd love to help you create a life you love living. Remember, every adversity is our own personal university. Sometimes the lessons are difficult, and we must learn from our experiences. Vulnerability is your superpower. You are lovable and worthy. And we discuss these topics and more because professional is personal. Thank you for joining us and engaging with me